Good evening. Welcome to Faith, Lies, and Confusion. I am Godless Reggie, and this episode is entitled "The Religion of." If I apologize if I mispronounce this, but it looks like Isese. But basically, it's the religion of the Yorubas. I apologize to everybody. Today we are getting somewhat of a late start today, but I had a few things to handle before I decided to come online today. But as long as we're here, we're here. Shout out to Ouija666. Thank you. Your participation is always appreciated. So, depending on what region you're in, where I'm at, it's roughly 8 o'clock. So, again, good evening. If you are overseas, good morning. Right now, I'm not doing too much, just relaxing. Just ate a little bit, watching a little bit of NFL football. Hey, what's going on with you, Gloria? I'm just relaxing. So, today's title, I kind of came up with at the last minute. I didn't really have a title for today's episode, but at the same time, a lot of times I hear people talk about, because I debate people about Abrahamic religions primarily, but a lot of times I hear people say stuff like, oh, well, why don't you go back to your traditional religion? What religion are you? There's no way of me being able to positively prove that, but I can say that a lot of Black Americans are descendants of Yorubas, so I decided to talk about their religion, which some people will look at as paganism, but I guess I'll talk about it now. So I'm gonna use my favorite source to verify some of the information that I'm discussing. Give me a moment, which is ChatGPT. So the Isese religion refers to a traditional religion, beliefs, and practices of the Yoruba people, primarily from the southwestern Nigeria and parts of Benin, Togo, and the diaspora, especially in the Americas. The term Isese or Isis comes from the Yoruba word origin or tradition, and it is often used to describe indigenous Yoruba spirituality. Core beliefs of Isese religion: Oludumare, supreme being, the supreme creator, omnipotent, and distant. Not directly worshiped daily. Instead, worship is through intermediaries, orishas, which are the deities and the spirits, are powerful spiritual beings or deities that govern various aspects of life and nature. Examples include Sango, number of thunder and lightning. God of thunder and lightning. Ogun, god of iron and war. Oshun, goddess of love, fertility, and rivers. Esu, trickster and divine messenger. People may have personal patron Orisha. Ancestors, Ugungan. And again, I'm going to apologize because I know I'm butchering these words. Venerated spirits of the dead who are believed to guide and protect the living. Ancestor worship essential to Isese practice. Number 4, divination or Ifa. Ifa is the sacred system of divination using verses called Odu Ifa. Baba Lawu, male, or Ayanifa, female, are priests trained in Ifa divination. Number 5, the rituals and sacrifices, include offerings such as food, animals, and etc. are made to Orisha or ancestors. Ceremonies involve music, drumming, dance, and incantations. I know I'm killing these words. Sorry. Moral code: emphasis on Iwa, Pele, gentle or ethical character. Justice, truth, respect, and balance are important virtues. Isis and the diaspora. Due to the transatlantic slave trade, Yoruba spirituality influenced regions in the Americas, such as Santeria, which is in Cuba, Candomblé, which is in Brazil, Vandu and Voodoo, which comes from primarily what this source is saying, Haiti and Benin, Lusumi and Ubandana and others. These traditions maintain Yoruba roots, but have evolved and blended with Christianity and other belief systems. I'm going to stop right there because it's making me think of something. So that last sentence that I just read kind of reminds me of some things that I hear people say. Now, when I'm debating with people and you discuss other religious beliefs, oh, that's the devil, those are demons, da 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 da. I've also heard people say through years and years and years, same thing with voodoo. I know that is the reason why a lot of people have issues with people from Haiti and things like that. But it just puts in context that that's just saying that shit is just a way of belittling other people's religious beliefs or spirituality to make yours look better. It's just a mental fuck, a mind game. We know where Christianity comes from, especially if we're referring to people that look like me. So that's just one way that they're using to manipulate you. Oh, you're gonna go to hell. Those are demons. There's no fucking demon named after anything that I just specified or just read. I doubt that these people even had a concept of demons, and if they did, I can guarantee you it's not the same concept of demons, from a Christian or Abrahamic perspective. That's just my thought process. I probably can, look it up and figure that out. But I haven't heard anything like that so far, besides this trickster part, which I'm sure if I was debating this right now and saying the same things that I'm saying right now, they're like, oh, that's him right there, the trickster, like serpent. I'm sure that's what they would say, because it seems like whenever we talk about any subject, they try to correlate it with something that's Christian to make it be true, as if that's the beginning, all tell all. The shit is only 2,000 years old, roughly, so I don't really see how people can think that correlates with reality. That's just me, but I'll move on and continue to read. Give me a second. So, Isese Day, celebrated in Nigeria and diaspora to honor and preserve traditional Yoruba religion, observed annually on August 20th in many places, involves traditional attire, rituals, prayer, and cultural performances, challenges, and revival. Isis was historically marginalized during colonial and missionary eras. There's been a recent revival and growing recognition, especially among younger African and diaspora communities who seek to reconnect with ancestral spirituality, which I actually like. So far, that's all that they have as a description for this particular religion, according to ChatGPT. I could probably make it specify a little bit more, but instead I'll play a video and give a human perspective of it. Instead, give me a moment. And again, I hope everybody's having a good evening.
Yoruba religion, also called the Ifa religion, is a belief system that is traditionally held by the Yoruba people. However, it is increasingly becoming more and more popular amongst those in the diaspora. Yoruba culture is very rich and complex, so this video will hopefully just serve as an introduction into the ideologies of the Yoruba people. I hope this is the start of a new series that focuses on ideologies of Yoruba to support the channel, and let's get into the video. The Yoruba people are an ethnic group found primarily in Nigeria, and their population is approximately 40 million people. Within Nigeria, Yoruba land is in the southwest of the country. Their states are called Lagos, Ekiti, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, and Oyo states. Lagos is a very busy area. In fact, it used to be the city of Nigeria, replaced by Abuja. The population of Yoruba people in the West African countries, such as Benin and Togo. It is important to note that this video focuses on more traditional Yoruba, with a small portion of them practice their traditions. So to introduce our religion itself and the core ideologies, I found this part of my reading extremely interesting, as you can see how it's from more traditional mythology and ideas about God and religion. The Yoruba religion is called Ifa. However, it is known by other names in Nigeria as well. I believe is that there is one supreme God, Mara, and there are entities called Orisha, as well as ancestral spirits. Life and dies at an old age, leaving children to succeed them. These deaths have huge funerals and are essentially celebrations of life. On the other hand of the spectrum is a bad death, which is usually when a person dies tragically or at a young leaving behind. Deaths are said to go to the ancestral realm, is essentially a version of heaven, choice native family out or
Okay, I just want to stop it right there. To speak about a part that I don't like, and I do apologize. I know when I start to play YouTube videos, sometimes it does skip. But basically, what the person was just describing is they were saying that there was two kinds of deaths according to their religion, right? You got good deaths and you got bad deaths. I'm just using the English perspective because I'm pretty sure that's not, what the word is or whatever. But basically, what he was saying again is people that live to be at old age are considered to, die a good death. Also, he said that people who live a long life are considered to have be reincarnated and things like that. Um, but people who die from tragedy and for young death for whatever reason, um, they are considered to die a bad death. I don't like that. I don't like that because things happen that are out of our control, right? Um, you can't say that a person died a bad death just because they died young. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times that can be from human intervention, right? And for you to say basically that this person was cursed or they were bad or something like that when it wasn't even under their control, I don't really like that. So let me get back to the video.
the name Babatunde or Yetunde. Babatunde meaning father has returned, while Yetunde means mother has returned. Although I myself am not Yoruba, I come from a culture with similar, as I was born the month he was buried, and I also resemble him greatly. So yeah, that's an interesting fun fact about me. So moving on from reincarnation, let's look at the Ifa religion's idea and concepts of morality. The concept of evil, according to the Ifa religion, is quite different from the Western perspective of what evil is. It focuses more on what harms others as opposed to following a set of rules made by a divine entity. Instead of being called things like sin or evil, negative actions are more so known as wrong.
Back to my point. That goes back to my point. What if something like that happens where somebody harms you and then you die, right? How can that be considered a bad death? I mean, by definition, I guess it would be bad if it happened to you. But how would that be your fault? Why wouldn't you be able to be reincarnated just because somebody took it upon themselves to unalive you? I don't like that part. It's not fair.
or a force that directly opposes God. Unfortunately, the influence of Western missionaries have reshaped popular ideas of Yoruba cosmology. This is most prominently shown in the attribution of association of the Bible to Yoruba. This is false, as Esu is traditionally seen as a being that is capable of good and evil. Although he is an Orisha, he is also an Ajogun, which is essentially a malevolent supernatural entity. However, Eshu is able to order the Ajogun and mediate when necessary, so he can do good and he can do evil. Ultimately, Eshu still answers to Olodumare, who is the supreme god, which shows that he is not in direct opposition to God, contrary to what some people may believe. As I've said before, of the Ifa religion supreme god. The name Olodumare is said to come from a phrase which is Oni Odumare, which translates to he who owns all Kadumare, and a more popular one, Oloru. Olorun means Lord of Heaven. Although there are lesser gods or spirits called Orisha who are considered extremely powerful, only Olodumare is said to be able to give life. During the creation of Earth and humanity, Olodumare instructed Obatala, who was the chief of the Orisha, to create the human bodies as well as the earth. However, he was not able to give life without Olodumare doing so himself. Unlike the Orisha, Olodumare is not directly worshipped and has no dedicated authority. The reason is because of his complete self-sufficiency, to the point that he doesn't need anyone to offer prayer in order to do what he wants to do. Instead of praying to Olodumare directly, people pray genderless and seen as transcend the normal and human realm. So there can be no accurate depiction of what Olodumare should look like. With that being said, picture used in this are more so for pragmatic uses rather than to show true portrayal of Olodumare. The play a in the Ifa in the governing of the universe. Obatula, or Orishanlao, is the head of the Orisha. He was the Orisha that molded humanity's form from mud, as Olodumare commanded him. Pil's influence has led to the association of Obatula with Jesus Christ, as he is referred to as of Olodumare, who is the supreme god. There are other Orisha, such as Ogun and Yuroba God of thunder and lightning, and is feared for being a more ruthless Orisha. He punishes those who lie or crime. No spies are not allowed to be mourned according to custom. The last Orisha I'd like to talk about is Oshun, who is the goddess of the river Oshun that flows through. She is benevolent and bestows material and blessing upon her.
So I just wanted to point out the fact that I could see some similarities in another religion that's close to that region. The last deity that they just mentioned, the woman one, sounds very similar to Mami Wata. I know that's from the same country, not the same tribe. I'll figure out what the name of that particular religion is. And I'll do it another day. But I do definitely see the similarities. It's no different than when you look at religions from like India, right? I'm not saying that all of the religions are the same, but you can definitely see the similarities, in them, right? Their concepts are very similar. I know I've said that word about 6 times now, but I definitely can see it. Let me get to it.
This video too long, and thank you for coming and watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to comment what other videos you would like to see from me in the future, and if you're not subscribed,
Okay, he wrapped that part up quite well. Once he got to the last deity, it was over. He didn't really describe it too much after that, but it's okay. I still see the similarities. So I'm gonna read a little bit from Google about the topic. Give me a moment. Okay, again, this is according to Google. Give me a second here. Okay. ISIS or ISIS, also known as Yoruba traditional religion, is the indigenous spiritual tradition of the Yoruba people of Nigeria and the African diaspora. The term Isis or Isis, however you pronounce it, means the root of tradition and action, or source, root, origin, practice, tradition. The religion is centered on the veneration of a supreme being, Oludumare, and numerous Orishas, deities such as Sango, Obotala, and Ugon. Practices include offerings, prayers, sacrifices, and the use of divination systems like Ifa, which involves reciting sacred oral traditions. Okay, we've already discussed the core beliefs and practices. Let's move on to the origins and spread. Osesis or Isis originated among the Yoruba people in modern day Nigeria. It spread through the transatlantic slave trade, as I mentioned earlier, to the Americas, where it influenced and blended other traditions, which I went over. The rituals, practices involve prayer, dancing, and making offerings and sacrifices at specific sacred locations. Religious items, devotees may wear necklaces called elekes and use divination tools such as cold wire shells or in okule, a large beaded necklace, and ancestral veneration. Altars are often set up in homes to honor ancestors, incorporating various spiritual items. Okay. That's pretty much a lot of shit that I already said. I'll play another video here. Give me a second. Give me some water. I'm kind of thirsty.
Actually, it has been religion has been part of us as Africans. I am aware of that religions is playing a role in our land. My question always is that how far has this religion helped our society, helped us as a continent to grow? We've seen in the past, in a couple of years, if we trace our history backwards, let's say 50 years before now,
dog owner. Listen, honestly surprised when work for me because I have virtually tried and bit, but they'd always return.
the issue of religion is not a problem in Africa. So that we, as a play in our society, and it is so very unfortunate for my side that the religion issue that is disturbing us in our land, not even are not the religion that we were born with. So now that we've decided to shy away from our own faith as Africans, I think we should learn on how to begin to think by ourselves and for ourselves. I normally think about something. I used to think about something that is funny to me, my fellow Africans, my brothers and sisters in Africa, when I see the way they're very passionate about uh, their own, it's gets me very, very
I just want to stop this for a second and apologize for that long commercial. And for what he's talking about, I'm hoping that at some point he gets to the religion and the topic on hand. I mean, I do agree with what he's saying, but it does not have anything to do with the point I'm trying to make here, or to teach about this religion. He's just talking about his personal feelings, which I really don't give a fuck about. So hopefully he'll get to the point. I'm going to give him like another minute to ramble on. If not, then I'm just going to take it like this is just about his beliefs. I never actually seen this before.
Kind of thinking that, oh, does that mean that I do ask that question? Is this how yeah, this is how everybody behaves in other parts of the world? In Africa now, when you see that people don't on their own without linking their thinking to their faith. So that's why I always ask this question: that does that mean that without religion we cannot live as Africans? Fine, we have so many religions, but the ones that get my people, uh, we are used to the now we are calling it Yoruba, which we know to be our Isheshe is shape to just play along and say, okay, it's the one that is understood. Then let's say Yoruba religion. Actually, when you say religion, a way of life, that means it's like a tradition. It's like a tradition. Religion is like a tradition. Then the question is, whose tradition are you following? Are you following your tradition as an African? Now, when you say a way of life, whose way of life are we talking about? Is it the culture of another land or your own land? So when we say Isheshe as Yorubas, we say Isheshe Yoruba, Isheshe Yoruba. That is, now we now call it Yoruba religion. In my previous video, I said we cannot take away spirituality from our Isheshe, because when you say a way of life, that means the way you do things. Now, in Africa, in Africa, I am convinced that our ancestors.
Okay, I'm gonna stop him right there. Because he's time graping me and you and whoever's watching this shit that had nothing to do with the religion except for when he said the Shay part. But that was just a complete waste of time. And again, I do apologize for the bullshit. I'm gonna do a little bit of reading, and I'm gonna wrap this up here in a second. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, now this is according to Wikipedia. Now I'm gonna go up a little bit. Now their core beliefs of the Kola Aben Bola, the Yorubas have evolved a robust cosmology. Nigerian professor for traditional African regions, Jacob Olupana, summarizes that central for the Yoruba religion, in which all beings possess, is known as the Asi, which is the empowered word that must come to pass, the life force and energy that regulates all movement and activities in the universe. Every thought and action of each person or being in Aye, the physical realm, interact with the supreme force, all other living things, including Earth itself, as well as with Orun, the underworld, in which God, spirits, and ancestors exist. The Yoruba religion can be described as a form of diffused monotheism with a supreme but a distant creator force encompassing the whole universe. The anthropologist Robert Boak describes Yoruba religion as being animistic, noting that it was firmly attached to place. Each person living on earth attempts to achieve perfection and find their destiny in Arun Riri, the spiritual realm of those who do good and beneficial things. One's Oru Anu, spiritual consciousness in the physical realm, must grow in order to consummate union with one's, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, but it's Lponry, Arun's spiritual self. Iwa Pele, or well-balanced meditation, recitation, and sincere veneration are sufficient to strengthen the Ori Inu of most people. Well-balanced people, it is believed, can make positive use of the simplest form of connection between their Ori and the omnipotent Olu Orum, and an Awu petition for prayer or divine support. In the Yoruba belief system, Oludumare has Asi authority over all of this, hence it is considered supreme. The scripture. The Yoruba scriptures are called the Olu Ifa, which is a collection of revealed oracle texts originally passed down through oral tradition among Babalawos. It is traditionally divided into 256 sections, or Odu, which are divided into verses. It is closely related to the divination system of the Yoruba religion, Ifa. The verses contain proverbs, stories, and statements that cover every aspect of life. The Odu Ifa is the foundation of Yoruba spiritual knowledge and has influenced spiritual communities in the Americas, such as Santeria, which I earlier mentioned. Ifa refers to the deity Orunmila, who is associated with wisdom, intellect, and divination. In 2005, the UNESCO designated the Odu Ifa tradition as one of the world's masterpieces of oral and intangible heritage and humanity. Oludumare is the most important state of existence. They are the owner of all heads, for during human creation, Oludumare gave Imi the breath of life to humankind. It is Oludumare is supreme, perhaps one of the most important human endeavors extolled within the Yoruba literary corpus is the quest to improve one's Iwa character behavior. In this way, the teachings transcend religious doctrine, advising as they do that a person must also improve their civic, social, and intellectual spheres of being. Every stanza of the sacred Ifa oracle poetry, Odu Ifa, has a portion covering the importance of Iwa. Central to this is the theme of righteousness, both individual and collective. Oludumare is recognized in the Yoruba belief system as the supreme being and the ultimate source of all creation. Everything that exists, Orisha, human beings, animals, nature, and spiritual forces, originates from Oludumare as the divine architect of the universe. Oludumare holds the highest authority and is the giver of Asi, the sacred energy that sustains and empowers all life. Now, the creation story. Adherents to the Yoruba religion regard Oludumare as the principal force of creation. According to one of the Yoruba accounts of creation, at a certain stage in the process, the truth was sent to confirm the habitability of the planets that were newly formed. The earth, being one of these, was visited but considered too wet for conventional living. After a successful period of time, a number of divinities led by Obatala were sent to accomplish this task of helping the earth develop its crust. On one of their visits to the realm, the arch divinity Obatala took to the stage equipped with a mollusk that concealed some form of soil, winged beast, and some cloth-like material. The contents were emptied onto what soon became a large mound on the surface of the earth, and soon after, the winged beast began to scatter this around until the point where it gradually made it into a large patch of dry land. The various indentations that they created eventually became hills and valleys. Obutala leapt onto a high ground and named it the place Ifa. The land became fertile and plant life began to flourish. From handfuls of earth, he began to mound figurines. Meanwhile, as this was happening on Earth, Oludumare gathered the gases from the far reaches of space and sparked an explosion that shaped into a fireball. He subsequently sent it into Ifa, where it dried much of the land and simultaneously began to bake the motionless figurines. It was at this point that Oludumare released the breath of life to blow across the land, and the figurines slowly came into being as the first people of life. For this reason, Ifa is locally referred to as Ifa Udaye, cradle of existence. Anran Male, I don't know how to pronounce that or if I'm saying it correctly, but the word I just said from the words Uron, meaning origin, and Amale, meaning primal divinity, are the original entities sent by Olurun to complete given tasks, often acting as liaisons between Odu Urun, the invisible realm, and Ile Aye, the physical realm. Urumale can, or well, plural, can therefore best be described in English as the highest ranking divinities, whereby such divinities are regarded as principal orishas. The Orumale or Amale are the primary foundational divinities of divine entities, and similar, all Amali are also Orisha, but not all Orisha are Omale. Okay, I think that's a bit much. I really don't feel like keep on reading them fucking words that I cannot pronounce. But what I can take from reading all of this, that it is flat out a traditional Nigerian Yuroba religion. From what I just read, all that reading, it's making me understand more things, right? A lot of times when I talk to African Christians, they'll say things like, okay, well, you know, that's the same exact deities as our traditional ones, or they'll try to correlate them together. I can understand why. Now just reading a little bit of this, but still, it's still polytheistic. So it's kind of like, well, there's numerous gods. It's a pantheon, however you look at it. But people tend to overlook certain parts of stories that they don't like, and gravitate hard to the part that sounds similar to whatever they believe, right? With Christianity, it takes things from other religions. That's part of their brainwashing. They use physical force a lot. We'll unalive you, we'll kill you if you don't believe, and or convert, this, that, and the third. But it also is conditioning and brainwashing as well, because you can put a gun in somebody's head and tell them like, okay, we'll convert, but that doesn't mean they necessarily believe it, right? But over time, with the brainwashing and the correlation, like to make an example, now that I know Easter and Christmas are originally pagan holidays that Christianity just added in a way and put them at those same exact times to help people transition and to brainwash them into their religion. I could see the same exact things here. I could see the tactics that they would use. I could see the similarities. Oh, he created all the heavens and the universe and all that bullshit. There's always one supreme person, but it's still not going to confuse me to think something like that, because I know that no matter what nation, what tribal people you go to, they're always going to have some form of God. They're always going to have some kind of pantheon system, just because people just was thinking, like trying to figure shit out. Okay, well, the sun must create this. We need the water for this. That must be a God. Sun is God. The trees is God. Everything's God. The earth is God. The air is God. I'm God. You God. He God. She God. We God. You know what I'm saying? It just starts like that and just runs wild. But they're all human concepts. All humans lie. So I don't see why people will believe it. I'm not trying to discredit this religion. Some would make it be a spirituality nowadays. Also, I'm glad that some people are turning back to this religion. Not saying it holds any benefit in your life, because it doesn't. But if you're going to believe something, at least believe something that belongs to you. Everybody in the world can't be no damn Jew. Shout out to them. Beautiful people. Respect them. But everybody in the world is not Jewish. Not everybody in the world is Greek. Right? Not everybody in the world is Muslim. So you have to go with what belongs to you. Otherwise, you're still a slave. You're believing what the slave master told you. The only reason why you believe this shit is because either they colonized you, stole from you, enslaved you, or some weird combination of what I just mentioned. So, you pick one. But it's interesting to learn about this religion, this belief system. I don't believe that the videos that I have played have been the best descriptive. That last one definitely was flat out some bullshit. He was telling the truth, but it had nothing to do with the title of it, because I would have never even picked that particular religion. I may go over this one again in the future, but I think next week I'll go over other traditional African religions that are from that area. I think it's important for me as a Black person to, know what my people, believed, to connect myself with them, or at least understand them a little bit better. I'm not saying that I would be, more Yoruba than anything else, but there are a lot of Black people from the United States that are Yoruba, right? And there's a lot of people from the diaspora that are Yoruba. Most people have some percentage of that in them anyway, but that's a different story. Thank you, Gloria Robinson. Thank you, Ouija666 for stopping by. Thank you, everybody else, for stopping by. Sorry for the late start. I'll try to do better next week. And everyone, good night.